everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Craig Gordon. I'm a teacher in Oakland and a member of Oakland Education Association, and also a member of a new coalition called SLAP, which is Schools and Labor Against Privatization. We're against the privatization of public resources and gentrification in Oakland. It's happening because of school closures, takeover of private land at the port. So we have a number of people here who are teachers, members of the International Longshore Warehouse Union, parents at schools that are being closed, and other community members. So we'll just get started. I'm going to just go, we'll give you a list of names here, but I would like to start with Trent Willis, a member of the International Longshore Warehouse Union Local 10 and past president.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Trent Willis. I'm representing the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, past president, but most important, I'm here representing SLAP, Schools and Labor Against Privatization. And for too long now, here in recent history, we've been witnessing a run on public resources by big corporations and billionaires. Here locally, we're looking at a run on public resources here at the port, where there's a proposal to build a new stadium for the Oakland A's. It's been reported that the building of this project would cost the public up to $1.2 billion, when at the same time there is a number of schools slated for closure here in the Oakland area. We've heard reports of up to 40 by the time it's done. But the unique situation we have here is that the run on public resources here is being done by the same billionaire. Okay, the same billionaire is John Fisher and the Fisher family, the owners of the Oakland A's. They want to build a stadium here in the port on public land, or purchase public land, and they want to build high-priced condos for the rich, both here on this property as well as the property where the Oakland A's are currently playing now. Okay, what we are saying here at SLAP is that we don't want to see anything happen in the Bay Area, in particular Oakland, that contributes to the widening wealth gap. The wealth gap keeps getting wider and wider. Ever since we've been affected by COVID-19, the wealth gap has gotten even wider. Okay, so what we're seeing is the same situation we're seeing all over the country, where you have big corporations and billionaires making a run on public resources. We think it demonstrates the utmost in greed. Okay? And the reason that the resources are called public resources is because they're for the public, and they're for people who are disadvantaged and poor people. So we can't allow billionaires and corporations to come into our community and take our resources that we need to literally live. Any questions?
What does SLAP stand for?
SLAP stands for Schools and Labor Against Privatization. It was a group formed, started by the teachers in the OEA and the ILWU Local 10 Longshore workers.
Why is the Alameda Labor Council and Building Trade supporting this project?
Say that again?
Why is the Alameda Labor Council and the Building Trade supporting the project?
Well, the building trades, I don't know exactly why they're supporting the project. I know the reasons that they're given to the public is that these projects this project to build the stadium will provide all of these jobs and provide public benefits for the community, when it's just not true. If the stadium was built in the very spot that it's in right now, it would create those same jobs. Okay, there's a lot of misinformation going around that Howard Terminal here is just a parking lot that's not being used for public resources. And if you look behind me right now, you'll see containers being stacked at Howard Terminal by ILWU Local 10 members. Right now as we speak, the land is being used to relieve the congestion that you've been hearing about, the problems that we've been having with the supply chain. It's very valuable land that's already proven beyond a doubt that is needed for public use and to create good union paying jobs. So a lot of these things that you're hearing, these talking points in support of the stadium and school closures don't make any sense. Okay? We don't understand, we at SLAP, we don't understand how you can slate to use $1.2 billion to build the infrastructure for a billionaire's ballpark, and at the same time let over 40 schools close and be turned into private charter schools. Most of these areas where these schools are slated to be closed are in our disadvantaged areas. It will disproportionately, like everything else, affect our black and brown communities and our children. And I think it's just something that me and my organization thinks that is something that we just cannot stand for in the city of Oakland. The city of Oakland has always been progressive. The city of Oakland has always been run by labor, and we think that that should continue. And we're forming a coalition of workers and different unions. We're teaming up with the community to make sure that we put enough pressure on our elected officials to make sure that this happens. You don't listen to billionaires, you listen to the community, and the community is full of workers.
So say your name one more time, just for our producers.
My name is Trent Willis. I'm the immediate past president of the ILWU Local 10.
And we'll take more questions afterwards. We have some other speakers, but I hope if folks want to stay around or when people are available to ask questions, they can stay in the conference.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trent.
So next is, I'm going to ask for Divya Farias as a speaker, is a teacher in Oakland at Coliseum Community, Coliseum College Community Prep in East Oakland, actually near the current Coliseum. And she's an OEA representative and a member of SLAP.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Divya Farias. That's Divyafarias, and I'm a teacher at Coliseum College Prep Academy, so CCPA. On April 29th, and I'm a rank and file member of the OEA. So speaking as a rank and file member and a member of SLAP, the Schools and Labor Against Privatization. Is that okay? Is this okay?
Come a little over. All their mics are right there.
Okay, is that better? Okay. On April 29th, the OEA is staging a one-day strike against OUSD's unfair labor practices. In 2019, the Oakland Unified School District made an agreement with the OEA that prior to the implementation of a school closure, there would be a 1 year of engagement with the affected community. Additionally, the district agreed to conduct equity impact analysis prior to making school closure decisions via the Reparations for Black Students Resolution. But in February, the Oakland School Board voted to close 4 schools this year and another 7 next year, just weeks after announcing its initial proposal. All but 1 of the 11 slated schools for closure serve majority Black and brown working class families in the flatlands of Oakland. Additionally, students with special needs will be disproportionately impacted by these closures, as several of these schools are special day class hubs for students with special needs. In many cases, the district is effectively asking families to move their students across town just to be able to access their educational services. The district has taken an illegal action in deciding to close these schools, in violating its agreements with the union and refusing to bargain the impacts of these decisions. OUSD is setting a dangerous precedent of disregarding the sanctity of our negotiations as a union. Thus, the Public Employee Relations Board has issued an unfair practice charge against the district. So there is nothing illegal about our one-day ULP strike. We are undertaking this strike in solidarity with the community and countless parents and students who have been pouring their energy into the movement to save our schools. We are participating in this one-day strike to protest the illegal practices of OUSD. We need to understand that the forces of privatization are at play here. The decision to close schools has little to do with the enrollment or test scores. Rather, the Oakland Unified School District is seeking to continue its long-standing practice of creating surplus property by closing public schools. Once those properties are vacant, they will be either leased to charter schools or sold or rented to property developers for profit. We will not allow our public schools and our public resources to be privatized. We will not stand idly by to allow our Black and brown families to be pushed out, rerouted, gentrified, and disenfranchised. Public education is a human right, and we will stand together as a union, along with our families and our students, to defend what belongs to the public. And this is why teachers, Longshore workers, community, and members of other unions are coming together as SLAP, Schools and Labor Against Privatization. We must come together across unions and work classifications to fight for what is ours and what belongs to the public. We call on the community to join us in this fight on April 29th and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll just do questions afterwards. Hey, Steve, can we turn up is the volume go up, Steve?
That's it.
All right.
Our
Thank
mics
you.
are picking up.
Yeah, your mic's okay.
Our mics
That's
are
good.
picking
Oh, no,
up
that's all
fine.
right. Thank you. So next we have another teacher in Oakland, Denise Huffstetler, and she's a teacher at Parker Elementary, one of the schools that is slated for closure this year, and she's an OEA member.
Probably better if you tell me all of it, because otherwise it-
Okay. We'll pick you up on our mics.
Yeah, but what you-
I'm good like this.
Can you
Can
say
everyone
your
hear
name?
me?
Yes, can you say your name and spell it just so we have it?
I'm Denise Huffstetler, DENISE HUFFSTUTLER. I'm an OEA member, instructional coach at Parker Elementary and Middle School that is slated for closure this year, and a member of SLAP. Piggybacking off what Divya shared about the school closures. I want to give you some information about how the school closures are tied directly to the privatization. In 2018, Superintendent Johnson Trammell presented the Systems of Quality Schools Board Retreat, which is referenced in the 2022 school closure presentations, where she compares OUSD to Prince George County Public Schools and highlights the path that PGCPS took in 2008 to consolidate their schools that were considered under-enrolled. She's replicating their steps in the 2022 school closures. Fast forward to 2021 in Prince George County. Their schools were overcrowded, and due to increases in enrollment over the years, they had to build new schools, so they ventured into the world of privatization. They became the first K-12 school district in the U.S. to use the Public-Private Partnership Concession Agreement, also known as the P3, to rebuild schools to house their students. This 30-year agreement and $1.24 billion financing wed their public schools with privatizers. More specifically, Honeywell LLC, who serves as their technical and financial advisors. Keith Fisher serves as the Vice President General Manager of Honeywell. Not only are the school closures an attack on our most underserved students, but it's also a step the school board majority is taking to privatize our district. When the ILWU 10 performed a walkout against the privatization of the Port A Stadium backed by John Fisher, it created an opportunity for my site, Parker, to join against that fight against privatization. We too performed a walkout on February 17th, 2022 and stood in solidarity with the ILWU 10 at Oscar Grant Plaza. We have spent the past 2 months begging, pleading, fighting, marching, starving, and rallying to get the school board majority to hear us. This is our district. You were elected by us. We will not stand for this attack on our students, and we demand that you reverse your decision to close schools this year and reinstate the reparations resolution. Our cries continue to go unheard. It is time that we as educators take back our district from OUSD school board majority and strike against the school closures. It is time that we as a community take back Oakland from the privatizers and refuse to allow the Ace Stadium to be built at the port. It's time for us as union members to stand in solidarity to show our power in unity. The coalition Schools Against School and Labor Against Privatization, also known as SLAP, will be picketing at the port to show that we will not be ignored and our demands will not go unmet. We are willing to shut down Oakland to stand up for our students against the OUSD school board majority and the one percenters trying to privatize Oakland and push us out. Please join us OEA members in this fight on Friday, April 29th, 2022 at 4:00 p.m. at Middle Harbor Park when we start our shutdown of the town.
Thank you. Next, we're just going to have a couple more members of unions and the community, as well as some parents who will be speaking in a couple minutes. As was mentioned earlier, there's a belief that, there's building trades are for this, and therefore it's only the ILWU and teachers who are against this. In fact, there are other unions who are strongly opposed to this. Next up is Brandon Dawkins, who is a community member who lives in the area where the stadium will be built, who's opposed to privatization of public resources, as well as the SEIU 1021 Vice President of Organizing.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Dawkins, B-R-A-N-D-O-N, last name D-A-W-K-I-N-S. And I just wanted to talk a few minutes about gentrification and the impact on the African American community in West Oakland. As we know that the Oakland A's wants to build a ballpark here at Howard Terminal. However, just the impact of gentrification in our communities and the privatization of public land, that we are against that as a community. And we are asking that if they plan to build here, that they have some community benefits that they pay, and that they also give the community first dibs. However, the public land should not just be freely given to billionaires. We have that too much going on in Oakland, and what's going on right now is pushing long-term Oakland residents outside of Oakland. And the jobs that they claim to give, the Oaklanders, cannot even afford to live here off of the jobs that they plan on giving. So we stand against privatization of public land, and we also stand against privatization of public schools. The destruction that will happen behind closing Oakland Unified School District schools, it's going to damage a lot of communities. It's going to damage a lot of families. So we stand against that. And I stand here with my brothers and sisters in labor and teachers in the rest of the community, say that we stand against the privatization of public land. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one other speaker here from SEIU 1021. And SEIU 1021 is the largest local in the Alameda Labor Council. And this is Carol Dreisen, who's a retired member of SEIU 1021's Committee on Political Education, COPE, and was part of it when it approved a position against the Howard Terminal and condominium project.
Which is the one?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay, in October of 2019, my union came, ILWU came to the union to talk to us about the Howard Terminal project, and we voted to oppose it. ILWU, we agreed with what they said, we liked what they said. I personally agreed with what they said because I'm also a delegate to the Labor Council, and I was watching how they were building up and all the people from the building trades, and they were really pushing, this project. But this project will kill the Port of Oakland. It's going to kill the Port of Oakland. And I think it's very telling that when they show the mock-ups to this project, it's in a park. It's not in the middle of a port. And then they have the nerve to put two little cranes on the side of it as though it's some kind of a memorial to here was the Port of Oakland, now deceased. So, I mean, I really think it's appalling, and it's appalling to take the resources that we need for a billionaire who's too cheap to even have good players on his team. He's too cheap to build it. He's not Lakoff. He's gotten rid of everybody that's any good. But he thinks he's going to put a project for rich people in the middle of the Port of Oakland, which is the economic engine for the city of Oakland. Right. And we employ thousands of people here with good union jobs. There is absolutely no reason for this. There's no reason for the priorities being so skewed in this city. This is supposed to be a progressive city. So I stand with ILWU, and I stand absolutely opposed to this port, which will kill the Port of Oakland.
Okay, thank you very much. One other, actually, I'm going to go to the parents now at three parents at schools or with kids in our public schools. And I want to just clarify that there's a mention of in the afternoon, starting at 4 o'clock, that the community and other workers are organizing to march down to the port and set up a community picket. It is not actually a SLAP organized picket, but it's going to be organized by rank and file members of unions and workers and teachers, as well as members of the community. So I'd like to introduce Max Orozco as a parent of a student at La Escuelita, which is also is slated for closure of its middle school this year.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Max Orozco, M-A-X, last name Orozco, O-R-O-Z-C-O. I'm a parent of La Escuelita. It's set for closing the middle school this year. As we all know, all our low-income neighborhoods have been targeted. We have asked and demanded for true numbers, true expenses to run every school. All of this has been denied to us, the parents. We have asked not only the board, but also the district to give us exactly what they're basing themselves on to close these schools. We have not received any answers yet. Every single meeting we attend, we get contradictory numbers. We have asked for this one-time fund for COVID to be used to keep these schools open. They denied it. They said it will not be used. They had other plans for it. Last Saturday, we received a message saying one-time payment will be used, COVID fund will be used as a one-time payment for most classified and certified OUSD employees. So they said they couldn't use it to keep our schools open, but they are gonna use it for their employees, people that are on the desks. I don't think that is right. They're not even working now for our kids, for the public schools. They also said, also the one-time fund payment will be used for compensation for the 2021-2022, which it will also bring supposedly the one-time fund expenditure to 17 million. So my question it is, as a community, as a parent, how could you have spent 17 million when you don't even have the 10 million that you want to use for the schools? This is all the contradictory info we've been getting. At La Escuelita, I personally asked the board president, Yi, how much will we save for closing La Escuelita? His answer was $33,000 to close La Escuelita middle school. That's all they're doing right now. They're closing Parker. There are reports about Parker, how it is on a neighborhood that is not safe. Also, same thing. We don't get the true numbers. They don't even have an actual report where all our kids are going. We have asked to the board members to actually check with the employees at the district to take a pay cut, because we have employees making over 300 a year, and that was reported on the 2020 fiscal. They're not willing to do so. We have someone getting paid for 3 months vacation. Us, the low-income people, we never get paid, not even in a month. Why is our school board doing that? We need the city, we need all the community to get together and demand for true numbers, for demand where all this money that it's supposed to be allocated for the schools for public schools, where is it going? We have millions of dollars that we don't know where they're going. So please, I ask for the community to support us and come on the 29th for this strike. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have another parent at Parker, which I mentioned before is one of the elementary schools. It's in East Oakland. It's being closed down. And so the parent is Azlina Tambu, and I misspelled it on the, if you got one of the sheets that I gave you earlier, it's Azlinah. Thank you.
Whoa, okay. Hi, you guys. I'm a parent of 2 children at Parker K through 8, which has been listed for immediate closure, along with Community Day School and La Escuelita. Parker and Community Day School are our city's most needed schools, and it's serving our city's most at-risk youth between the avenues of Seminary and 82nd Avenue, which is District 6. Most of Parker K through 8 students walk to school, and the school has a system that serves kindergarten through 8th grade. With this school slated for closure, children will have to walk long distances to welcoming schools that have been randomly chosen by the district. Our closest welcoming school for middle schoolers is Elmhurst, which is over 25 blocks away. That means that our children will have to walk long distances in one of our nation's most dangerous neighborhoods. The things that these children will encounter on the way to their new school are shootings, human trafficking, cars driving fast could hit them. There's so many dangers that can happen. Community Day School is the other school in District 6 that's been slated for immediate closure. This is a second chance high school that serves literally our district's and our city's most at-risk children. These are children that have been expelled from other schools, and this is their last chance to either be reintegrated into regular OUSD schools or potentially end up in juvenile hall. With the closure of that school, where will our children go who have made mistakes? How will we help them become productive members of society? My biggest fear is that with the closure of Community Day, the gap between public education and incarceration becomes even smaller in an area of the city where a lot of our youth are being incarcerated at high numbers. We are standing up as parents, teachers, workers, and community members to fight to keep our most needed public resources, which is education. Today, there is a board meeting at 4 p.m. at 1050 2nd Avenue to talk to the Oakland School Board. And I would like for everyone to show up to that if they can, so that we can all make a statement there. And also, I would like to ask parents and community and everybody to stand with our teachers on Friday during the strike. Help them picket at these schools, and let's let our voice be heard. Let's keep these services for our children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And remember, we have a couple more speakers. There will be time for questions afterwards if there are any. So next is Misty Cross. She's a parent of Oakland Public School students, a Moms for Housing founder, as well as one of the co-founders of and member of SLAP, and has been very active in the fight to keep Parker Elementary open.
My name is Misty Cross. I'm one of the co-founders of the Moms for Housing. That's M-I-S-T-Y, last name C-R-O-S-S. The fight to keep schools open in Black and brown communities has turned out to be one of the biggest fights. Right now, we see this going across multiple cities. It's not just happening here. Right. The attack on our schools and our communities with the privatizers that have come into our communities to buy out our public resources has gotten out of hand. We today say no school closures. We say no to no consolidations. We say that we stand and we fight united as a group. The unions have come together, the parents have come together, and so have the teachers. We are going to show the city that we are going to be able to change things. We're going to show political power. We're going to make sure that as these elections come up in June and November, candidates know that they can no longer fall short on promises that they no longer see through. We are here to show our students and our children that we are here to be their advocates and to fight for them until they can fight for themselves. This is a message that we are sending across airwaves, and we are glad that you guys are here to support us. We're standing in solidarity with SLAP, that's Schools Labor Against Privatizations. We're standing with the ILWU and so well with the SEIU. We want to show the political power, people power. The people make the changes. The people voted these people in these offices, and they need to listen to the people who voted them in those seats. No longer are we going to be crying on deaf ears. We're going to start making changes ourselves. You've heard that cry out for your participation to come out to the school board meeting tonight, to join us in this fight on Friday. Keep your kids at home. The teachers will be picketing in front of the school sites at 6 a.m. Join them. Have your children join them. The children need to see that the city will come and back them. They will fight for their education.
Good job.
Thank you. And our last speaker I'm aware of is B.K. White. He's a president of the United Steel Workers Local 5, which is on strike right now in Richmond.
All right, BK.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here and stand with you guys. We're on strike now in Richmond, but we stand with labor always, and labor stands with the people. We're here opposing any closing of any schools in Oakland. We stand with the students. The teachers always stand with the teachers, the community, and we see this has played out before, where the money affects the working class community and then blame us for the plight that we have and the struggles that we have. And if we allow this to happen, this is just the rich once again exploiting us as the working people. Right. We'll always be here with you guys. It's a travesty if we let this happen. If we stand by and let this happen. We've seen in the last 10 years that the big money making decisions and looking at a future that does not include us. And that's exactly what this is. Yeah. This is a money grab for them. This is to enrich their pockets, leave us behind, and the only time we'll make the news is when something bad happens. But you've stopped our education and essentially stop our people from having an opportunity to live a better life. So we're here for you, the steel workers, and I am an Oakland resident, so this really strikes home to me. And I know how much teachers have influenced, impacted, and made my life better. So I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to say solidarity, and we love you guys.
Solidarity.
Talk about your strike. Mention your strike.
Oh, okay. We've been on strike since March the 21st. We've been negotiating since January the 4th. It's been a rough negotiation, but we have a lot of solid women and men that we lean upon each other, and it encourages us to keep going. Very little movement's been made, but we're a resolute group. We just want a better standard of living. We know that the 1% has really prospered during COVID. I don't know how that happened, but they really did, and it's been on our backs. And we're not going to get rich out there. We want better health care. I think everyone in the United States can understand that. We want better health care. We want some respect, right? We want to be able to provide better for our families and for our kids, and that they don't have to go down the road that we had to get here and maybe be exposed to some of the chemicals and stuff that we on a daily. So we're fighting. They're trying to wait us out. It's a big money industry, and they're trying to bring a lot of pain on my members by having us go without a paycheck. But like I said, we're resolute in what we do. The solidarity's there, and I can never be prouder of a bunch of people that I work with. Thank you.
Victory to Local 5.
So that's all of our speakers today. So if there are any questions, I think everybody is still here to answer any questions if you have.
You were supposed to preview on the 29th of April. Yes. be a big day.
Yes. Well, I'll just start out with, just let me say that, I'll just say as far as for the Oakland Education Association, we'll be on strike, of course, an unfair labor practice strike, and it will begin, the pickets will be at school sites all over Oakland, starting at 6:30 in the morning, and they'll be picketing through the morning, and then rallying by the lake at the amphitheater, or gathering there, and then marching to City Hall at 2 p.m. with the ILWU and other unions and community, and then there will be a picket of community folks and other workers, rank and file people who go down to the port at 4 p.m. We'll set up pickets, so that's going to be a big deal, kind of a uniting of different unions in direct action. If Trent wants to speak any more to the nature of the day in terms of ILWU.
Okay, so the ILWU every year, we celebrate what we consider the Labor Day of the United States, which is May 1st, in our opinion and in workers' opinion. September Labor Day was a Labor Day that was invented by capitalists in this country to distract from the real Labor Day. So every year we celebrate Labor Day on May 1st. This year, May 1st falls on a Sunday, so the Local 10 membership decided to schedule our annual celebration of May Day to be in solidarity with the teachers. We will be holding our regularly scheduled union meeting on the day shift on April 29th, where we'll be joining the teachers and the community down here at Oscar Grant Plaza for a rally and a march.
I also want to make one clarification, because I'm not sure if there's different unions involved, there's different organizations involved, and then there's a bunch of kind of rank and file people doing things. So I just want to be clear, OEA is on strike, we'll be shutting down schools, we'll be gathering at the lake. The rally at City Hall at 2 p.m. is really organized by SLAP, which is Schools and Labor Against Privatization. And so that is rank and file members of both unions and other folks in the community. That's what that is. It's not an official union thing. And finally, the community picket is not any particular union, certainly isn't the ILWU, because their workers are going in, they go in for their shifts every day, but it's other folks, community people and other workers.
Will this be the first time SLAP? How long has it existed, SLAP?
When did SLAP start? Just a couple of months ago. Yeah, it's arisen with this latest round of school closures back in I think we were started in around February, a little after February. There was a rally at the City Hall, actually, that was a solidarity rally on February 17th. It was a pretty big deal, which had ILWU and OEA members.
Is there anything that can save the schools? Can the A's save the schools?
Can the A's save the schools? Somebody else like to speak to this? Yeah.
I just want to be clear with something. The SLAP organization understands that this is not about the Oakland A's as a baseball team. We don't have anything against the baseball team, Oakland A's. I'm pretty sure that the majority of us are Oakland A's fans. We enjoy the baseball games. This is about the ownership of the Oakland A's and the ownership of KIP, which is an organization that controls charter schools here in the Bay Area. The problem we have is that KIP, along with the Oakland A's, are owned by the same family, the Fisher family. And then there's a push to close public schools, to turn them into charter schools, to privatize the schools. At the same time, there's a push to privatize port property, which is badly needed to move cargo and to get supplies to the public here. So we want to make absolutely clear what we're doing. Now, not just in this area, but all across the country, there seems to be the situation where elected public officials are starting are not starting, in my opinion, they've been doing it, but not listening to working people. Okay? Big money is controlling the decisions that our elected officials are making on behalf of working people. So there has to be some type of uprising to intersect that. Okay, so SLAP is an organization. We have gotten together to unite working people from all different unions, from all different communities, to have a voice in our own name. That is very important, to put pressure on elected officials, even elected labor officials, to do the right thing by the public and by the people who've elected them and put them in the positions that they're in. So this is what we're about.
You consider Fisher anti-union?
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Can I speak on the question of what would save the schools? So the question is, is there anything that would save the schools? What will save the schools is us. That's why we're coming together. This is not just an OEA fight. This is not just SEIU or AFSCME. This is not just parents. This is not just students. This has to become a struggle across labor, across families, across unions, ideally connecting cities beyond just Oakland, because what we're talking about is not a small thing. It's not just a school board, moving things around to make a few decisions for Oakland. We're talking about money coming into our schools. We're talking about decisions of people that are bought out by the billionaires, right? We're talking about decisions made by people that want to take over the city. They want these resources. So the only thing that can stop that is us. So that's what this is about. So what can save the schools is that we build the solidarity now. We don't wait until the next school is closed to wait for those people to come together to struggle at the last minute. We form the solidarity now, and we make our movement bigger and bigger. We get ready for more strikes. We get ready to occupy school buildings. We get ready to shut it down until we get what we want, and until we can get the people that really will fight for our working people and for our kids into elected office, right? It's a struggle that's on multiple fronts, but ultimately we need to know who our targets are, and it's the rich that are coming after our public schools, and so that's where we need to aim, and that's why we ask everyone to join us.
He's going to speak more, and then you can ask a question.
Okay, and just to be absolutely clear here, what we are saying is that the $1.2 billion that it'll cost for the infrastructure to build the Oakland A's, or not the Oakland A's, but this proposed stadium here, this ballpark, could better be used to save our public schools and to save the infrastructure for the port. Okay? If we haven't learned anything else from the COVID-19 pandemic, we've learned how badly we need port property, and how badly we need to move cargo, and how badly people in cities need supplies. You have to have a viable port. Right. For years and years, the infrastructure of the Port of Oakland has been neglected. For years and years, the infrastructure of the public schools have been neglected. So we don't understand how you slate $1.2 billion to build a playground when you have all of these other more crucial areas that money can be spent. So to be clear, the $1.2 billion that it's going to take for this project would definitely save those schools in Oakland that are slated to be closed. Thank you.
I just want to amplify one thing Divya said also, in terms of it's going to take all of us. We have to act in the streets and take direct action. If you've been to any of the school board meetings, you'll see meeting after meeting, whether it was on Zoom or in person, hundreds of parents and community people and school workers. There's not one who speaks for these closures, who wants their school closed, or who believes that the excuses that are being given, which we know are untrue because we see we have the facts, that closing schools doesn't save money, and that or the excuse that there isn't enough money. We know that these things are not true. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately, we're going to continue to go to school board meetings, but those board members are pretty much bought and paid for by the privatizers and by charter school owners. And Gary Yee, who's president of the school board, in fact, when asked a few years ago why don't you, if you say there's not enough money, because he closed the school I was at 10 years ago, why, if you really believe it's going to save money, why don't you support a tax on the Port of Oakland, or support a tax on the big corporations in Oakland like Clorox and Kaiser? And he said, well, I'm not, as a school board member, he said this, I have it on tape if you want to see it, I'm not bold enough as a school board member to go to these corporations and tell them we're going to put a tax on you. So they're beholden to these corporations. They don't want to tax them, and they want to do their bidding in terms of closing. The only thing that stopped, the only power we have is our numbers and our ability to act.
Actually, I just really want to hear from some of the teachers also about the school district calling it illegal, the strike itself illegal, and maybe explaining what the contract, the existing contract that maybe they're referring to when they're saying that the strike can be considered illegal.
Yeah, we got confirmation from, and I believe it's our CTA lawyers, that it is not illegal, that it is falls under the unfair labor practice, because this was part of the MOU that they actually signed, agreeing for the reparations for Black students to not close schools without having community engagement with the Black Student Thriving Task Force. And instead, they reversed that decision in order to close schools on January 12th.
When was that MOU?
The signed date that I have is March 12th, 2021.
I can speak to another thing too. So there's actually a few different, there's a couple different things. One is in 2019, the teachers were on strike. That was on strike to get a better CBA, a collective bargaining agreement. At that time, the district agreed with us that there would be 1 year of community engagement before a school closure decision was implemented. Additionally, at that time, they agreed that there would be an equity impact analysis before making any decision to close schools. So those two aspects have been violated. And following that agreement, the school board voted on a resolution to sign that into board policy. So the school board is violating their own policy right now. Additionally, the reparations for Black students, that resolution that Denise mentioned, talks about the equity impact analysis as well. So because of all this, OEA filed an unfair labor practice with PERB, that's the Public Employee Relations Board. And PERB, in response, issued an unfair practice charge. When an unfair practice charge is issued, a union is able to strike because of an unfair labor practice. So that is why the strike is legal. The claims by the General Counsel, Josh Daniels, that the strike is illegal are unfounded. And there is no ed code, there is no citation of what makes a strike illegal. The cease and desist order is not based on any sort of legal argument. So the strike is absolutely legal. We have an unfair practice charge because of their violation of our contract, and additionally of their violation of our rights to bargain school closures, which were solidified in the 2019 agreement.
Great, thank you so much for clarifying that to both of you. But maybe from the parents, it's just been really hard on students, and again, whether it's because of COVID or the strike, they seem like they'll be kind of in the middle of getting in the middle of it, so, or stuck in the middle of it. So
I could speak to that. I'm sure the parents could speak to that as well. Yeah, I thank you for asking that. The teachers have taken this decision. The vote to the membership vote to strike, to authorize a strike, came in solidarity with parents who came to teachers to say, what can we do? What can we do to bring attention to this? The district violating its own terms, its own board policy. And so parents and teachers have been working tirelessly to organize. And so this really is in solidarity with the community, in solidarity with the countless parents who have said, teachers take a stand, right? And so that's how we see this. We understand that it's a day that our students won't be educated in the classroom, but we see them as being educated outside the classroom on that day. They're educated by coming to the picket line. They're educated when they see that their teachers aren't going to take this situation sitting down, right? They see that their teachers have their backs. We stand up for the community. We stand up for our parents. And this is a struggle that we take on together. So for us, learning is not just something that happens in the classroom. We want our students to be able to struggle for their own rights, to stand up for what is theirs. And maybe the parents can speak to that too.
Joel, hold on 1 second. Can we get both of you up there together? Just all three. Oh,
If you could just speak to your children as students being caught in the middle of, you know,
I can't see behind those mics.
oh, okay, of, can you get, by any chance, switch also, sorry, thank you. And just the kids getting caught in the middle, the students not going to school on Friday after, you know, after the pandemic and an uncertain school year. How that affects them?
So kids not being able to go to school on Friday. Can you imagine with 3 schools closing, how many kids won't be able to go to their schools after this pandemic and after all of this craziness has happened these past couple of years? So Oakland Unified School District is pushing this narrative that the teachers and the community are somehow putting the kids in a bad situation by not being able to go to school on Friday, and that's absolutely not true. If these schools close, that means that these kids will never be able to go back to their schools. And they'll have to go to schools where they don't know anybody, they don't know any teachers. They're gonna be walking long distances through dangerous areas. So again, as a parent, as one of the parents who cried out to the teachers to come and do this strike, I think all of the parents are in solidarity with that. None of us wanna see our schools closed. And our children have been on the front line of this fight. Our children have been helping organize these rallies. They've been leading the marches. These kids have taken a stand to fight for their own schools and to fight for the schools of the other OUSD students. So that's all I gotta say about that.
And yeah, what I can say is we received letters stating that we're trying to blame the teachers for this strike, when in reality, it was us parents that kept on asking the teachers, asking the school board. In many meetings, we asked for their help to stop these closures. We asked Parker, La Escuela, our K-8 schools. Parker will be losing all our children from K-8. That's 8 years of being in a family environment. La Escuela is gonna lose 6th to 8th grade, all the middle school. My families will be torn apart. We have families that have 2, 3 kids on different schools. Now they're gonna be separated. That family environment will be lost. We are a community. These schools, we know each other. We take care of each other's children, like our children. There's not a single child that we do not know whose parents that is.
Right.
The teachers, same way, they know every single child from kindergarten up to 8th grade. That is what we're asking for. That's what we've been demanding, to keep our communities together, not to spread them apart. And obviously, this is not the teachers calling for a strike. This is us, the parents, asking for help. Since the school board has denied, has turned their back on us. The district itself has done the same thing. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Right on. Thank you.
Is that it, Trent?
Are there any other questions?
Can we lay it down?
Okay, so thank you all for coming. And if there are any other questions afterwards, you can do interviews individually. Thank you.
Thank you.